Hey guys, in this tutorial, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Divi Builder. The Divi Builder is basically a page builder for your website. This gives us the ability to add columns, rows, and different modules and things to create your website. So for example, I'm on the back end of my front page right here. You can see that the first element here is text. You can see right here there's text to the left, code to the right. There's a blog section and there are testimonials. If I preview this page, you can see this layout on the front page. So you can see the text on the front, down here the text on the left, the code module which has the video, you can see the blogs, and down here you can see the testimonials. Again, that's all laid out with the Divi Builder in WordPress. Now the way this is laid out is again in columns, which are the blue, rows, and then modules. So let's go ahead and start a new page and I'll walk you through this and really just walk you through the basics. Divi is very, very robust and you can do a lot with it, but I'm just going to show you the basics. So of course, if you're starting a new page or a post, you're just going to give this a test or a title, excuse me. And now by default, you do have to activate the Divi Builder. When you're doing pages or posts, you are going to see the text editor right away, which I do have another tutorial on. So please watch that to know how to utilize this in a little more detail. But from the get-go, you're generally going to click Use the Divi Builder, which is going to activate it. Now, the Divi Builder also has an option for the Visual Builder. I wouldn't recommend using that unless you're comfortable with the back end and you want to get a little more dangerous. But I do have more links to resources of the Visual Builder and all the other Divi elements if you'd like. But to start, you're going to see this here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and kind of build a test page out. So again, to start, you're going to see that you have sections and rows. So for example, if I click column here, it's going to give me an option to put however I want my page to display. I can do a full column, I can do, halves, I can do thirds, and it gives us all these different column elements here. So I'm going to click this, and then from here you have the option to insert a module. Now Divi already comes with a ton of modules here, but I only use a few generally. Usually I'm using the text module or the image module, which is up here. And of course, a lot of times, you can go through and you can kind of play around with this and make it your own. Sometimes we'll be using the blog module. If you have a button, you'll of course use the button module, but there's generally only a few that I usually use. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and start with a text module. And then with the text module, you'll notice that it brings the standard WordPress text editor, which again, please refer back to the tutorial to know how to use this in detail, but you get a chance to put all your text in here and you can make this your own if you're writing a section of a page or a blog post. And so from here, let's say we want to do text on the left and an image on the right. I can click this and in a module, I can add an image. I can upload an image. You can do something from your computer or you can add from your media library. So we'll go ahead and add this image that I just recently put in here. And what's really cool about the Divi Builder is that all of these modules have different settings. So you can go down here and I can just kind of play around with the settings. I can choose to make this clickable, open up to a light box, which means it's just going to pop open like a little gallery of it. Or I can make this a link and I could tell this, I could specify whether it needs to stay on this site or go to a new page. And you can really tweak the settings from here. The other important thing about this is it gives you a design tab. This tab contains some alignment things, so you can center align this. And it has some other adjustments here too. You can adjust the sizing, the spacing, if you want to give it some padding. Generally, you're not going to have to worry about this, but in case you wanted to get a little more dangerous, you could go through here and you could add some cool effects if you wanted to in the design area. The advanced setting, and this is on all modules, they will have content, design, and generally advanced. This is where you can import code and stuff like that. You're probably not going to want to mess around with that. That's left to folks like me who are getting into some custom code. But you do have the option with all of these modules to get a little more dangerous with them. So you can see I've got text here, an image here. Now let's go ahead and preview this and see what this looks like on our site from the get-go. So you can see the text I put right there, and you can see the image right here. Now, let's add a section below this. And let's say you want to do a section that has maybe a darker background. What you can do is you can add a background to any of these rows or columns. So these icons, the three lines right here, are going to allow you to open an actual module or open the row or the section. And then this little button is a duplicate button. So for example, if I go up here, I'm going to duplicate this. And now, of course, if I preview this page, you're going to see this content is duplicated. So that's very handy depending on what you're working on. But again, let's go ahead and play around with this. Now, we want to add a section below this that has a darker background. So I can actually drag and drop all these, which is really, really cool and really handy. And then I can go in here, and then the first option I get is to change the background color. So let's say I want to do maybe like a light blue, something like that. So we'll go ahead and try that out. Go ahead and put that in there. Now if I preview, that whole section should have a light blue background. And there we go. So it's that easy to adjust this. Now, again, I'm going to give you more resources if you want to learn about the Divi Builder in detail, but you can really go in here and you can adjust this stuff, and you can adjust the actual row alignment. You can go into the width and the padding for all of this. Let's say, for example, that I'm doing a blog post and I want this text to be centered right here. Well, if I go into the actual row settings right here, I can click this open. I can go into design, and it gives me an option to equalize all those column heights. I'm going to save and exit, and then I'm going to preview, and you're going to see this should jump that text down to be centered. And there we go. You can see it centered right there. So the Divi Builder is extremely versatile and very useful. And again, what's really cool about this is you can either add sections, which are good for different colors like this, or you can add more rows, and you can add as many rows as you want to. So in this case, if I wanted to add another image here, and let's go ahead and put a different image in there just for this sake. And if I wanted to, maybe in this section right here, I wanted to display the most recent blog, well, I can choose the blog module. I can just give this a post of 1, and I can select which category I want to display. And now, if I preview this, we're going to see this page start coming to life. Text here, image, different background, centered text. And you can see here, I put an image there, and then here it's pulling up the most recent blog posts. So again, obviously this is looking a little horrendous now with the colors, but this is the basic overview of how to use the Divi Builder. Now what's really cool about this too is you have an opportunity for some other style sections. Generally, if you're using pages, you can just do standard section, and you can add that right here. But this does give you an option as well to do a full width section, which is how I do sliders and things like that. Generally, you're not even going to worry about inserting a full width section, so I'll exit out of that. But if you do have an advanced page that you really want to get detailed with, you can do what's called a specialty section. And then you can see here, it gives us all these different layouts to be able to play around with. It's very similar to what you have here with the standard layouts, but the specialty section will go basically one step further than these basic layouts. The other thing real quickly I wanted to show you with the Divi Builder is that in your actual modules, if you select this and open it, you can actually see at the bottom, it gives you a chance to label the actual label at the bottom here. So right here, we have this labeled as text, and I'm on the front page. If I preview this, you can actually see that that little section is the rotating testimonials. So if you have multiple people working on a site, this is really handy because they might think it's just standard text, but actually it's the rotating testimonial. So in this case, I'm going to scroll down and I'm just going to update the admin label to testimonials. And now I know that this little section right here are my testimonials. So that's a very handy, another aspect of Divi is you can update these actual admin labels for your site and for your pages. This is really beneficial if you have like a page layout for staff members and it gets really big and you're like, oh shoot, who is this? And you have to open each module. So by labeling these modules, it can make your life a lot easier moving forward. I do have another tutorial on how to use the library because Divi, one thing I love about it so much is that you can save layouts, you can import them, you can take them to other pages. Very, very handy, very user-friendly, and very cool. So again, you basically have the columns or the main rows, sections of the website. You have your rows here, which is how you determine how you want that laid out. And then you have the actual modules, which can be inserted here. And again, you have quite a few to choose from. Generally, I'm usually editing with text or images, and then sometimes you'll use code or maybe a button, things like that. And we'll specify that in more detail for your site. But again, this is just a general overview of the Divi Builder. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, hopefully this is a good overview of the Divi Builder.